The air inside the cabin feels heavy the moment I step in. That polished chill of filtered air and quiet judgment. My heels click against the aisle as I count the rows to first class. Row 2A. My seat. My space. My right. Good evening, I say softly, offering my boarding pass to the attendant. She glances down, then back up, blinking too many times. Ma'am, she says, her smile tightening. Are you sure this is your seat? I stare at her, then at the ticket. It says 2A. Sometimes passengers make mistakes. Then this time, the mistake is yours. My voice comes out colder than I intend. I'm tired, but something in her tone makes my chest tighten. Behind me, a man chuckles. Guess they'll let anyone up here now. The words hit me like static through bone. I turn. He's middle-aged, polo tucked into khakis, confidence of someone used to being right even when he's wrong. Excuse me? I ask. He smirks. Didn't say anything to you. Yes, you did. My voice shakes, but I steady it. Say it again. He leans back, eyes glinting. You heard me the first time. The flight attendant's hand twitches toward her radio. Ma'am, maybe you should step aside while we clear this up. Clear what up? I ask. I bought this seat. You scanned my ticket. She avoids my gaze. The man laughs again, quiet but cruel. Security, she murmurs into her mic. We need assistance in first class. I blink. You're calling security? It's standard procedure when a passenger becomes confrontational. I'm not confrontational, I say, my voice thinning. I'm responding. People start watching, not helping, just watching. Some whisper. Some pull out phones. I catch my reflection in the window, jaw tight, eyes wide. I hate that I look defensive. Please step off the plane, ma'am, a security officer says as he arrives. 2 of them. Both tall, both blank-faced. For what? I ask. For questioning staff. I questioned a slur, I say. Is that your job description now? Escorting people who defend themselves? The officer shifts his weight. Let's handle this calmly. I am calm. My voice cracks on the last word, traitor that it is. The man in khakis sips his drink. Some people just can't let things go. My hands shake as I grab my bag. You can keep your seat, I tell him. You already bought the silence around it. As I step into the aisle, whispers trail after me. Pity, discomfort, relief. I can feel the distance between every pair of eyes and my back. Outside, one officer asks for my ID again. I hand it over with a trembling grip. Ms. Jordan, he reads. Occupation? CEO, he blinks. Of what? Of my own company, I say. Of my own damn life. He doesn't respond. He just nods toward the waiting area. You can wait there while we confirm things. The terminal is loud. That same kind of loud that hides what nobody wants to hear. My phone buzzes. Janelle! Maya! Her voice shakes through the line. They said they removed someone. Tell me it's not you. I stare at the floor, the sterile tiles, the reflection of my own disbelief. They said I don't belong here, I whisper. There's silence on the line. Then, what? I swallow hard. They said I don't belong here. And everyone agreed by not saying a word. She starts crying. We'll fix this. I almost laugh. You can't fix what people think they see when they look at me. The officer waves me over again, returning my ID. You're free to rebook, he says. But not on this flight. Why? No explanation, he mutters. I glance past him to the window where the plane sits like a promise revoked. The man in khakis looks out the porthole, sees me, and smiles, small, triumphant, meaningless. I turn away. My voice is low, steady now. This seat, I say quietly, more to myself than anyone, wasn't just a seat. It was proof that I could finally sit where I earned. The officer doesn't reply. He doesn't need to. I pick up my briefcase and walk toward the gate exit. Every step feels like an accusation no one will answer. When I reach the end of the corridor, Janelle calls again. Maya, what do I do? She pleads. Remember this, I tell her. Every word, every silence. Because one day they'll pretend it didn't happen. I hang up before my voice breaks again. I can still hear his laughter. Faint, echoing behind the glass wall of privilege I never asked to see through. The room smells like metal and old coffee. My palms stick to the table. The walls are beige, that kind of nothing color designed to calm people down. It doesn't work. He walks in with a clipboard, badge glinting like it means something. Ms. Jordan, I'm Officer Doyle. Let's clear this up, all right? I stare at him. Clear what up? He sits. There was a disturbance on board. You raised your voice. I raised my voice after a man told me I didn't belong. He writes something down. Okay, so from your perspective, my perspective, you pulled me off a plane for sitting in my seat. That's not perspective. That's fact. He exhales through his nose. Ma'am, we're just following procedure. That word again. The shield of every coward in a uniform. Procedure. Protocol for what? I ask. For being black in first class? His jaw tightens. Please don't make this about race. I almost laugh. Then what should I make it about, Officer Doyle? My tone, my posture, the pitch of my voice when I said, excuse me? He leans back. I'm not here to argue. Good, I say. Because I'm not here to be polite. A muffled laugh echoes from the hallway. Another officer says something about drama queens. They think I can't hear. I do. Doyle clears his throat. Let's keep things civil, Ms. Jordan. Civil is what got me off that plane. I was civil. My voice trembles, not from fear, but from fury trying to find a place to land. He scribbles again. We just have to document the event. What are you documenting? I ask. The sound of humiliation? He looks up, finally meeting my eyes. There's something there. Guilt or pity. I can't tell which is worse. Look, he says, lowering his voice. I know how these things look. Do you? I cut him off. Because I don't think you do. Silence hums. The fluorescent light flickers above us like it's trying to leave the room too. My phone vibrates against the metal table. Janelle, again. I reach for it. Please don't answer that. Doyle says quickly. I glare at him. You've already taken my dignity. Let me keep my phone. He sighs, tired, or pretending to be. Ms. Jordan, I'm just trying to help. No, you're trying to finish your shift without feeling guilty. He doesn't respond. He just looks at the clipboard like the paper will save him. The door opens. A woman in a navy skirt suit steps in. Polished, precise, smiling too wide. Ms. Jordan, I'm Dana, a representative from the airline. Of course you are, I say. Here to fix it? She sits, folding her hands. We're very sorry for the misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? I repeat. A misunderstanding doesn't come with handcuffs. Her smile falters. No one meant to make you uncomfortable. I wasn't uncomfortable, I say slowly. I was removed. Doyle looks at the floor. Dana shifts in her seat. I can feel the careful choreography, the way they speak in disclaimers, the way they hope I'll calm down so they can check a box labeled resolved. Ms. Jordan, Dana continues, the situation escalated because of miscommunication. We'd like to make amends. I tilt my head. Amends? We can offer you a complimentary flight credit and a written apology from our staff. I laugh. It's not a sound I recognize. Bitter, sharp, broken. A flight credit. Yes. I own half your airline stock portfolio, I say. Keep your credit. Her face drains. You own? Yes. I lean forward. And today your staff decided that ownership didn't include humanity. Doyle clears his throat again. Ms. Jordan, we're just following. If you say procedure one more time, I swear. I stop myself. I close my eyes. Breathe. You don't get to hide behind that word. Procedure doesn't have a color, but the people enforcing it do. Silence again. The kind that tastes like truth left hanging in the air. Dana fidgets with her pen. We'll make sure this is reviewed internally. Internally, I echo. Where apologies go to die. She tries to stand, but I'm not done. You should know, I say quietly. I remember everything. Every word, every smirk, every silence. I'm done letting people rewrite what they did to me. She nods, uncertain. Understood. Do you? Her eyes dart to Doyle, searching for rescue. None comes. I finally pick up my phone. I can't stop my hands from shaking. Janelle's name glows on the screen. I answer, Maya! She cries. What's happening? They said you were detained. I'm fine, I say, though it sounds unconvincing even to me. They're calling it procedure. She goes quiet. Then, softly. They did this because you're you. I know. Are you going to let them? No, I whisper. Not this time. When I hang up, Dana is already at the door, her fake smile reattached. Doyle mumbles something about releasing me. I stand. My legs feel like they're carrying a weight no one else can see. As I walk out, Doyle says quietly, "For what it's worth, I'm sorry." I turn back, meet his eyes. "Then write that down in your report." He doesn't. Of course he doesn't. Outside, the terminal hums again. Announcements, chatter, life resuming like my humiliation was just a brief delay. I walk past the gate window. "My plane is gone," I whisper to no one. "You called it procedure." "I'll call it the beginning." The hotel room feels too quiet. The kind of quiet that hums in my ears until it feels like a scream. I sit on the edge of the bed, still in the same suit, hands trembling over a cup of untouched coffee. The news hasn't broken yet. I can feel it waiting, like thunder in the air before the lightning hits. Janelle's voice cracks through the phone speaker. "Maya, I'm so sorry. I should have been there. I should have done something." "You couldn't have stopped them," I say. My throat feels raw. "They dragged me out because they could." "No," she snaps through a sob. "Because they thought you wouldn't fight." Her words settle like an ember under my ribs, slow heat, burning steady. "I should have recorded it," she says. "People need to see what they did." "They saw," I whisper. "They just didn't care enough to stop it." For a moment, neither of us speak. I hear her crying softly on the other end, the sound of someone trying to carry my shame as if it's hers to bear. "Do you know how many people texted me after?" she says. "Not to ask if you were okay, but to ask if you yelled." A bitter laugh escapes me. "Of course. Because yelling would make it easier for them to blame me. You didn't yell, did you?" "No," I say quietly. "But I wish I had. I wish I had screamed until they saw me as human." The phone buzzes. Another call. Unknown number. I stare at it. "I'll call you back, Janelle. Who is it?" I think it's him. I don't have to say his name. "She knows, Maya," she says, voice urgent. "Don't let him control the story. You owe them nothing." I'm not planning to. I end the call and swipe to answer. A smooth, practiced voice slides through the line. "Maya, it's Greg Walters." I close my eyes. "Of course it is. I wanted to reach out personally," he says. "To, acknowledge the situation and prevent further escalation." "Prevent escalation," I repeat. "You mean stop me from speaking?" No, he says quickly. "I mean, let's not make this a public fight. It's bad press for both sides." "Both sides?" I ask, my voice quieter now. I can hear my heartbeat in my ears. "You mean the woman humiliated for her skin and the company that made it happen?" He sighs, that corporate sigh, heavy with inconvenience, not remorse. "You know how perception works, Maya. We live in a sensitive time. The public twists things. The public doesn't twist racism," I say. "It just records it." "Listen," he continues, his tone lowering like he's talking to a child. "You've been a valuable partner for years. Let's resolve this quietly. You're respected, Maya. You don't want to look emotional." My laugh cuts through his sentence, short, sharp, almost a bark. "Emotional. That's the word you use when you're afraid of truth." "I'm not afraid," he says, too fast. "Yes, you are," I reply. "You're terrified of a black woman who owns her narrative." Silence stretches. I imagine him sitting in some office surrounded by lawyers, his tie loosened, his forehead sweating. I almost feel sorry for him. Almost. "Look," he says, voice softening. "We'll fire the attendant. Issue a statement. Compensate you privately. But let's avoid lawsuits, okay? You'll never win against a corporation this big. There it is. The threat wrapped in a favor. I already won," I say. "The moment you called me to beg." "Maya, no," I cut him off. "You don't get to humanize me in private and erase me in public. You built your brand on courtesy and comfort. But you threw me out because my skin didn't match your image of a customer. You think I'll forget that?" His voice falters. "You're making this bigger than it needs to be." "It is bigger than me," I say. "That's the problem. It always was." Another silence. I can hear him breathing, calculating. Then softly, "Maya, you're angry. I get it, but anger doesn't win." "Strategy does." I stand, pacing toward the window. The city lights flicker like small, distant fires. Then watch how I strategize. Maya, don't... Good night, Greg. I end the call. My hand lingers on the phone screen. My reflection stares back, exhausted, hollow-eyed, but alive. Janelle texts, "You okay?" I type back, "No, but I will be." I set the phone down, letting the quiet return. For the first time, it doesn't suffocate me. It feels like the calm before something I'm finally ready to start. They thought I wouldn't fight. They were wrong. I push the glass door open and let the chill of the boardroom air meet the heat in my chest. I count the faces before anyone finds words. I don't offer them my smile. I offer them my time, and it is expensive. "Ms. Jordan," Greg says, standing halfway, unsure if he should reach for my hand. "You made it." "I always make it," I say, setting my folder on the polished table. "I'd like to begin." A director chuckles, that lazy, well-fed sound. "I thought we were here to discuss our diversity initiative." "We are," I say. "Starting with your resignation." His mouth opens, then closes. The laugh dies in his throat. Greg clears his. "Maya, this is extreme." "So was being dragged off a plane I paid for." Another director leans back, voice smooth as a memo. "Let's not personalize a systems issue." "I am the system you listen to," I say. "Let's personalize it." Someone tries genial. "No one intended harm." "I didn't ask about intent," I say. "I'm here about impact. Silence, the corporate kind. Chairs creak, pens click, hearts pretend they're not racing. Let's keep this constructive," Greg says. "We value your perspective." "You value my money," I say. "You devalued my body." A woman at the far end taps her tablet. "We've prepared a response plan. Listening sessions, bias training." "I sat through a forced listening session at 30,000 feet, I cut in. It sounded like laughter while I was escorted out. Greg's voice softens, managerial velvet. "We're here to align on a path forward. I'm here to decide if you deserve one." A thin man adjusts his tie. "Investors hate volatility. Headlines are volatile. Racism is volcanic," I say. "Your brand is built on comfort while you burn people like me at the gate." He scoffs. "That's inflammatory language." "Good," I say. "I want it to sting." Greg spreads his hands. "Maya, we can craft a joint statement." A show of unity. My unity is not a stage prop. A director tries the numbers lane. We're talking billions in market exposure. We have to consider risk mitigation. "I am risk mitigation," I say. "I mitigate the risk of your denial." Another voice slides in, smug. "This escalated because of tone on both sides." "My tone?" I ask. "You mean the tone I used when I said, 'This is my seat'?" He shrugs. "Perception matters." I perceived a security wrist on my elbow, I say. I perceived a smirk that made my stomach twist. I perceived an audience of cowards, and I was correct. A younger board member swallows hard. "What do you want?" "I want the truth to stop requesting permission." Greg tries again. "Let's be practical. We can settle privately, invest in community partnerships, expand equitable hiring. You will do all of that," I say. "But that's not the price." He frowns. "Then what is?" "Accountability with names attached," I say. "Not we regret, not our valued customer. Names, resignations, policy, with teeth. Public." "That's punitive." The tie adjuster mutters. "That's proportional." The woman with the tablet inhales. "We have a diversity council." "You have a brochure," I say. "You have a fine print that blows away in the first strong wind." Greg's jaw tightens. "You're angry." "I am precise," I say. "Anger is a flame. Precision is a scalpel." He looks around for an ally. "This isn't how these meetings usually go." "Neither is escorting a major investor off your aircraft," I say. "And yet you did it with confidence." A director tries a smile. "Let's talk about optics." "Let's talk about sight," I answer. "Because no one on that plane saw me as a customer. They saw me as a problem to remove." He rubs his forehead. "This will cost us." "Then consider it tuition." Greg's voice drops. "You'll never win a war with your own portfolio." "I don't wage war," I say. "I build leverage." The younger member leans forward, softer. "What would accountability look like specifically?" "Greg resigns," I say. The head of customer operations resigns. The officer who signed off on my removal is barred from your premises. Mandatory policy. Any allegation tied to bias triggers independent review with binding consequences. And you pay for a fund that protects passengers targeted the way I was. Greg laughs. Short, wrong. You're asking me to fall on a sword to appease sentiment. I'm asking you to discover a spine. He stares at me. You'll tank the stock. You already did, I say. I'm the first honest reflection you've had in years. The tablet woman whispers. Our PR team can't spin a resignation. Try truth, I say. It's a rare angle. People might believe it. Tie adjuster crosses his arms. And if we refuse? I open my folder. The contracts feel like bone in my hands. Then I call a vote to remove the leadership that can't protect the value I helped create. You don't have the votes, he says. Watch me count, I say, sliding letters of intent across the table. I spoke to people you never thought I'd call. Greg's eyes flick to the signatures. His face goes pale around the edges. You went around me. You went around my humanity, I say. I prefer straight lines, he swallows. This is a hostile move. This is self-defense. The younger member scans the pages. These are credible. They're committed, I say. They watch that footage of my removal in their minds and recognize their own daughters. Greg tries one last pivot. I will not be publicly humiliated. You were publicly powerful while I was publicly humiliated, I say. Balance, Greg. The math was always coming. He grips the table. What do you gain from my resignation? A beginning, I say. The first page where your company speaks without lying. The room sinks into a heavy quiet. I let it sit. I want them to hear the weight of it. Tie adjuster breaks first. We can negotiate terms. You had 3 days to call it what it was, I say. You called it miscommunication. Today it has a name. Greg exhales slowly. If I step down, you stop the campaign? I stop nothing, I say. But I decide where the volume goes. He studies me, searching for the old softness I used to bring to these rooms. I don't offer it. He nods once, a tiny surrender. I want conditions. You're not holding a pen, I say. The tablet woman looks at me, voice smaller now. What do you want us to tell the public? The truth, I say. Tell them you use procedure to hide a bias. Tell them power makes people deaf. Tell them you're learning to listen, and let them decide if you deserve forgiveness. Greg whispers, almost to himself. You'll never win this. I already did, I say, standing. I walked in. I gather my folder. Chairs scrape. Eyes follow. I feel their panic reach for me and fall short. At the door, I pause. Gentlemen, I say, then look at the women present and correct myself. Bored. I built companies on silence like yours. I'm done being quiet. Either you change with me or I change you. No one laughs. Even the air has the decency to listen. I step into the hallway and my pulse steadies like a verdict finding its words. I stand behind the curtain and listen to microphones crackle like insects. My stomach tightens when I hear my name wash through the room, not with warmth, but with appetite. I steady my breath and let the hum of voices sharpen me instead of shaking me. Greg steps up to the podium. Thank you for coming. We apologize for the incident and reaffirm our commitment to equality, dignity, and respect for all passengers. I watch his hands grip the edges of the lectern. The words sound ironed. I feel the crease lines cut. We have initiated a full review of our procedures, he says. This does not represent who we are. I hear the sentence trying to absolve itself in real time. I swallow the bitterness and let it sit where my voice will live. Someone leans behind him, speaking low. I hear Greg whisper, too quick, too close. She's milking this. Heat hits my face. I don't step back. I let the anger slow down until it becomes clarity. He continues louder. We have reached out to Ms. Jordan directly and will continue our dialogue in good faith. My name in his mouth tastes like a prop. I hold still until the moderator nods at me. I walk out to the second podium. Flashbulbs flare. I meet the light and keep my jaw steady. Ms. Jordan, the moderator says, your statement. I lean toward the mic. I was humiliated not by strangers but by a system that still decides who belongs. I paid for a seat and was told my skin did not belong in it. I was asked to accept an apology folded into a business plan and to be grateful for a credit I didn't need. I do not accept. Reporters raise hands like a forest of spears. A woman in the front row speaks first. Do you believe the airline is racist? I believe the airline is comfortable, I say. Comfort will always mistake itself for innocence. A man with a press badge lifts his chin. What do you want exactly? I want the truth to stop hiding behind the word procedure. I want names attached to consequences. I want the people who laughed while I was escorted off to hear their laughter on replay every time they consider power. Another reporter calls out. Are you planning to sue? No, I say, and I let the quiet hold a second longer than is polite. I plan to buy. The room inhales. Cameras lean in, hungry. Greg's face tilts just enough for me to see the color drain from it. He mutters, not softly enough, "You wouldn't dare." I keep my eyes on the crowd. Watch me. Hands shoot up again. What does that mean, Ms. Jordan? A hostile takeover? It means I'm done asking for access to my own dignity, I say. It means I will leverage the truth the way I was taught to leverage assets. A different voice, clipped. Are you exploiting this for personal gain? I am using harm for structural change, I answer. If your vocabulary can't tell the difference, that's part of the problem. Someone near the aisle calls out, "Did you provoke staff? Did you raise your voice?" I asked why a slur could travel first class while I could not, I say. If that is provocation, then truth is contraband. A younger journalist stands. What do you say to those who insist this was a misunderstanding? I say misunderstanding does not hold my elbow while I am let out, I reply. Misunderstanding doesn't laugh when the door closes. Misunderstanding doesn't ask me to be grateful later. Greg leans toward his mic. Our company has a long-standing record of inclusion. I turn my head. Greg, your record is a brochure. I met your record in a holding room. He glances at the moderator. Let's maintain decorum. I did, I say. That's why I didn't scream. That's why I'm speaking now. Another hand flashes. Ms. Jordan, if you buy, what changes? I remove the idea that courtesy is a substitute for justice. I put teeth in policy. Bias triggers independent review. Outcomes are public. Compensation is not a gag. Training is not a seminar. It's a metric tied to pay. A reporter smirks. You sound like you want revenge. I want memory, I say. Revenge ends things. Memory prevents them. I hear a shuffle behind me. Greg whispering again, urgent and low. Keep it calm, please. I keep my voice soft. Calm is what got me dragged out in the first place. Calm is what people asked for while they watched. A man in the second row raises his voice. What do you say to customers who worry this fight will raise prices or disrupt service? I say dignity is a service, I answer, and it has been underpriced for too long. A woman near the back calls, What do you want from Greg Walters specifically? Accountability that does not hide behind we, I say. I want I. I approved that policy. I failed to protect a customer. I resign. Greg reaches for a smile and fumbles it. We have apologized to Ms. Jordan privately, and I heard you call me a grifter privately, I say. You said she's milking this. You use the word this as if you didn't know its name. A rumble ripples through the room. Greg blinks, caught between denial and a camera lens. He clears his throat. I don't recall saying, I recall hearing, I say. My memory is not a committee. The moderator tries to intervene. We'll take 2 more questions. A hand shoots up. Ms. Jordan, what message do you have for black travelers watching this? I let myself breathe before I answer. I have 2. First, you're not imagining it. Second, you don't have to be graceful to deserve air. Another reporter, voice measured. If the board resists you, what then? I will teach resistance what it looks like to lose, I say. Patiently, publicly. The moderator nods at me to conclude. I grip the lectern just enough to feel the grain under my fingertips. I want to end small and exact, not grand. I don't want an apology that survives only until the news cycle ends, I say. I want the kind of change that makes future apologies unnecessary. If that means I become the problem you can't eject, then I am happy to take up space. I step back from the mic. The room erupts into overlapping questions. I keep my gaze level and let the noise break around me. I turn slightly enough to see Greg's profile. His jaw works. His eyes flick to the side exits like he's measuring escape routes. He leans in, low. Think about your reputation. I am, I whisper. I'm building it in front of you. He exhales, sharp. You'll burn bridges. I flew coach through fire, I say. I know how to land. He grips the lectern. We can still fix this quietly. You had quiet, I say. You used it to whisper. I walk away from the podium. Reporters call my name like a verdict, trying to catch up. I don't run. I don't smile. I let the cameras catch the part of me that learned to turn pain into policy. My pulse steadies when the door closes. On the other side, voices tangle into strategy. On this side, the hallway breathes. My phone buzzes in my hand. Janelle's text lights the screen. You were precise. They looked small, I type back. They built themselves that way. I just held up a mirror. I tuck the phone away and stop at a window. My reflection holds my gaze without flinching. I taste the aftershock of saying bye out loud and feel the shape of the plan settle into my bones. He said I wouldn't dare. I remember the feel of a stranger's smirk like a bruise that never fades. Watch me, I whisper, and I step into the next room where the real negotiations begin. The morning light cuts through my hotel blinds like a blade. My phone won't stop buzzing. I think it's another round of reporters, but it's Janelle. Her voice hits before I can even say hello. Maya, don't look online yet. What happened? She hesitates, breath ragged. They leaked. The messages. From the airline's internal chat, my stomach tightens. What messages? She starts reading. Can't wait for this angry black investor to milk the victim card. Her voice cracks. She'll probably sue for a private jet next. I close my eyes. I can almost hear their laughter, the casual rhythm of cruelty typed between coffee breaks. There's more, she whispers. Should have let her sit and coach, maybe she'd behave. My throat burns. They never thought I'd see this. No, she says. They didn't think anyone would. I stand by the window. The glass feels cold, grounding. The sky looks clean, cleaner than any of their words. Good, I say quietly. Now everyone will. She exhales shakily. Maya, they're panicking. Greg called me 3 times already. He wants to speak to you directly. Let him. He's not calling to apologize, she says. He's calling to contain. I know. The phone buzzes again. I glance down. Greg Walters. I don't let it ring twice, Greg. Maya, he blurts. His voice sounds frayed. I'm sure you've seen... I heard, I say. Every word. This wasn't authorized, he says. Those messages weren't official company communication. We're handling it internally. I let out a small, humorless laugh. You already handled me internally, remember? Maya, you dragged me out quietly, humiliated me quietly, apologized quietly. And now, when your people show what you really think, you want to handle that quietly too. He exhales sharply. We're investigating. Disciplinary action will be taken. Disciplinary action, I repeat. Do you hear yourself? You don't even have the vocabulary for accountability. You have to understand, he says, voice tightening. We're under enormous pressure. The board is furious. The shareholders, I'm one of them, I cut in. And I'm furious too, he pauses. Please, let us fix this. You can't fix what you still justify. I'm not justifying. You are. Every time you say pressure, you're excusing cruelty as policy. Every time you say procedure, you're dressing up racism in a uniform. Maya, he says softly. You're angry. I get it. But don't destroy us. Don't destroy everything we built together. The line goes quiet for a second. I can hear my own pulse through the phone. I didn't destroy anything, I say. You did when you laughed. That's not fair. Neither was that plane. He sighs, weary. If this keeps spreading, the damage will be catastrophic. It already is, I say. You just want to decide who it hurts. You don't want this to define you. It already does, I say, steady now. But I'm not ashamed of that. Are you? He doesn't answer. I picture him sitting in his office. Blinds half closed, shirt sleeves rolled up, phone in one hand, guilt in the other. I almost feel pity. Almost. Maya, he finally says. There's a way out of this. We can negotiate. We can settle. We can... Stop, I say. You still think this is a transaction. It's not. It's revelation. Then what do you want? I want people to see what you call normal. I want every word of those messages framed as truth. I want silence to cost something. He sighs again, softer. You'll make enemies. I already have names for them. He laughs once, broken. You were always so composed. I never thought you'd go this far. I was composed because I was afraid, I say. Now I'm not. I hang up before he can reply. The phone buzzes again. Notifications, mentions, news alerts. I scroll once. The screenshots are everywhere. The words, angry black investor, float across every feed. Beneath them, hashtags I never asked for. Justice for Maya. Corporate racism exposed. Boardroom bias. Janelle calls again. It's viral. They're trying to issue another statement. Let them, I say. Do you want to review it first? No, I say. Let the world review them, she exhales. You sound calm. I am, I say. Because for the first time they're speaking the truth. Even if they didn't mean to. I look out the window again. The city below looks alive, restless, wide awake. I whisper to no one. They thought exposure was punishment. It's just the beginning. I taste paper in the air when I stand. My palms press the rail, and I feel the scratch in the wood like a reminder. Speak clean. Cut deep. Ms. Jordan, the judge says, steady. You may proceed. I'm ready. Greg's lawyer glides up, lips curved like a warning. Ms. Jordan, you've had a busy month. He spreads a hand toward the benches. Press conferences, interviews, threats of a buyout. You're using race as leverage, aren't you? I'm using truth as light. He blinks once. Charming. Not responsive, he paces. Let's be plain. You benefited from this controversy. You gained followers, sympathy, influence. I gained insomnia. Please, yes or no? No. So you didn't gain power? I reclaimed it. He smiles at the jury like we're in on a joke. You're very practiced. Media training? Being doubted trains you. He pretends to consult a page. On the plane, did you raise your voice? I raise my boundaries. Yes or no? No. Did you accuse the airline of racism? I named what happened. He tilts his head. Are you angry, Ms. Jordan? I'm alive, Mr. Stone. That's my anger, gasps Ripple. I don't turn to them. I keep my eyes where they matter. He recovers, tongue clicking. And anger colors memory, doesn't it? Fear colors silence more. He tries a softer tone. You're a sophisticated investor. You understand optics. Isn't it true that you weaponized an unfortunate misunderstanding to advance your personal agenda? I weaponize disclosure, I say. You call it misunderstanding because you can't afford to call it what it was. He leans in. Say the word, racism. He shrugs as if bored. A heavy word. A reputation killer. You know that. It kills more than reputations. Objection. He anticipates himself, then grins. Withdrawn. Let's talk about the messages, the leaked chats. People talk crudely online. Locker room banter. You cherry-picked. I planted nothing. I only picked what was already rotting. He steps closer. You enjoyed seeing those employees suspended? I enjoyed seeing consequences exist. Personal vendetta? Public standard. He lifts a finger. And yet you didn't sue at first. You threatened to buy us. Isn't that a shakedown? It's a lesson. In humility? In economics, he pretends confusion. Economics of grievance? Economics of accountability? He sighs theatrically. Miss Jordan, you want this jury to believe you're a victim. But your portfolio suggests otherwise. First-class tickets, boardrooms, chauffeurs, I assume. I assume you think a seat cancels a wound. He pauses. You're saying success offers no insulation? I'm saying success buys nicer rooms to be humiliated in. His smile tightens. And yet you keep returning to those rooms. I keep returning with a key. He pivots. Let's revisit the incident. The attendant asked a simple question. Are you sure this is your seat? Innocent, yes? Innocent is a tone I've heard handcuffs sing in. A bit dramatic. I'm a witness. He spreads his arms. To your own feelings. To their actions. Are you suggesting the entire plane conspired against you? No, I'm saying the whole room agreed to be quiet. And quiet means guilt? Quiet means comfort figured it could wait for the headline. He strolls, savoring the click of his shoes. You talk pretty, Ms. Jordan. It plays well. I learned to speak when screaming made me small. Let's try a different track. He turns brisk. You claim Mr. Walters mocked you privately. Your words, she's milking this, prove you heard him. I have ears. No recording? Just memory with a spine, he smirks. Convenient. Inconvenient, I say. For him. He stops, lays both hands on the rail. Final question for now. If this court gives you nothing, no formal finding, no damages, will you stop? No. So it's personal. So it's necessary. He glances at the judge. No further questions. For the moment, I let my breath return slow. The judge nods to me. Redirect? I'll wait, I say. I'd like to hear Mr. Walters. A murmur rustles like paper bags. I watch Greg stand. His shoes scrape. The sound scratches my nerves the way his whisper did behind that podium. He raises his hand, swears. I remember his voice inside my ear like an oil slick. Keep it calm, Mr. Walters. Stone begins, gentle now. Tell us about your company's values. Greg clears his throat. We value inclusion, safety, and customer respect. Do those values include Ms. Jordan? Yes. He doesn't look at me. Of course. And the incident? Misunderstanding, he says. It escalated beyond intent. I feel laughter rise in my chest and harden into a stone. I swallow it. I don't give him the relief. Did you ever instruct staff to remove Ms. Jordan because of her race? No. Did you personally laugh about Ms. Jordan? He hesitates. No. I watch his eyes. I remember the curve of his mouth at the microphone, the private word milking, curling like a hook. My hands curl into fists under the table. No further questions, Stone says, satisfied. Cross, I say, stepping up. The rail meets my fingertips again. The wood remembers, Mr. Walters, I begin, quiet. Look at me, he lifts his eyes. The sheen of them looks like a bad night's sleep and a good PR team. At the press conference, I ask, did you whisper, she's milking this? I don't recall my exact words. Do you recall your intent? My intent was to keep things calm. Calm for whom? For the stakeholders. Not me. I didn't mean for it to go that far, he blurts. On the plane. Any of it. That's what every racist says before the headlines hit. Stone pops up. Objection inflammatory. Sustained, the judge says. Miss Jordan, rephrase, I nod. Mr. Walters, when you say I didn't mean for it to go that far, what do you mean by far? He fumbles. The damage. The fallout. To your company. Yes. So far is not where I was dragged. Far is where your stock went, he swallows. I regret the pain caused. Passive voice is a good shield, I say. Who caused it? Our staff made decisions inconsistent with who trained them to make those decisions. He presses his lips together. The organization, which you lead, he exhales. Yes. Did you call me emotional on the phone? He glances at Stone. I may have said something about keeping emotions out of it. Whose emotions? Yours, not yours. I try to stay objective. Objectivity looks a lot like comfort when you're holding the mic. His jaw flexes. Ms. Jordan, I apologized. You apologized to my reputation. Not to my body, he frowns. I don't follow. My elbow remembers a hand. My throat remembers quiet. Your apology remembers optics, he shifts. This is unproductive. This is a record, I say. Do you understand the difference? Records outlive spin. His voice goes small. I never wanted you hurt. I was never your concern until I was your risk. He stares at the table. I see the first hairline crack in his posture, the one that lets sound in. Mr. Walters, I say, softer, do you believe I belonged in that seat? He nods too fast. Yes, then why didn't your system? He has no place to put his eyes. We're fixing it. With statements? With policy changes, he says quickly. Training, oversight, independent review. And consequences with names? He doesn't answer. Say I tell him. Say I failed, he tightens. Say I. He can't. The silence turns the room into a mirror. No further questions. I sit. My legs feel like someone else's, but my spine knows me, Stone whispers to Greg. the judge writes. The benches breathe. The judge looks up. Miss Jordan, you may make a brief statement to the court before we recess. I stand again. My voice finds me like it always does after being lost. Not loud, but sure. I was taught to be calm while being erased, I say. I carried calm like a passport, and it still got stamped secondary screening. Today, I'm not using calm as a disguise. I'm using clarity. I was removed because my presence triggered a system built to soothe the majority and manage the rest. I didn't come here to win sympathy. I came to place truth on the record where your comfort can't edit it. The room holds still. Even the scribbling pauses. I'm not a headline, I finish. I'm the echo you'll hear every time someone says procedure when they mean permission to harm. And I'm not going away. I sit. My heartbeat finally slows enough to hear the clock. The gavel hasn't fallen yet, but inside me, something has. Not a verdict, not a sentence, just a door opening. My phone shakes across the table like it knows the number. I don't touch it until I hear Janelle's voice in the doorway. They posted it, she says. You want me to read? Read. Verdict affirmed. Settlement. 4.9 billion. Immediate oversight mandated. Shares halted. Projected reopen at... She swallows. They're falling, Maya. They were already falling, I say. Today they landed. My phone vibrates again. The name glows at me like a bruise. Greg? She asks. Yes. Answer or let it ring? Answer. I swipe. Greg. His voice sounds thinner than paper. You destroyed everything. No, I whisper. I reminded you what everything costs. Silence. I hear him breathe like someone hoping for a script. He tries one. We can appeal. You can listen, I say. It's cheaper. The board is shattered, he mutters. Investors. God, the investors. They made choices. You pushed them. I showed them. He exhales, a sound like surrender. Were you ever angry? Yes. How angry? Angry enough to stop bleeding quietly, I say. Angry enough to speak through contracts, not screams. He doesn't answer. I picture him staring at a screen full of red numbers. I used to feel small in those rooms. I don't anymore. I never meant... He starts. To go that far, I finish. I remember. Maya, he says softly. Is there any part of you that regrets this? I regret the aisle, I say. I regret learning how to beg with my eyes and still be mistaken for a threat. I don't regret proof, he swallows. What happens to me now? You step down with a sentence that begins with I. I already did. Then say it again. I failed, he manages. Louder, I say, even though I'm the only one on the line, so you can hear it. I failed, he repeats, a little clearer. Now fix what you can, I say, and let what you can't fix name you. He's quiet long enough that I wonder if he's crying. I don't feel sorry for him. I feel finished. Goodbye, Maya, he says. Goodbye, Greg. I end the call. My hands shake once, like the last shiver after a fever breaks. Janelle steps closer. You okay? I'm not broken. She smiles without showing teeth. The lobby is a storm. Reporters everywhere. They want a statement. They always want a confession shaped like gratitude. I stand. My knees hold. My voice finds me. Say it plain, she says. No poetry unless you want it. Truth sounds like poetry when people aren't used to it. I glance at the door. Walk with me. We step into the hallway. Each footfall feels like punctuation I've earned. The elevator dings. When the doors open, noise swallows us. Camera clicks. Questions stacked on questions. A man with a mic reaches first. Ms. Jordan, do you feel vindicated? I let my breath measure my answer. I feel seen. Another voice cuts in. 4.9 billion, Ms. Jordan. Is that justice or spectacle? Price is spectacle, I say. Justice is memory with consequences. Will you take a victory lap? Someone shouts. I took a seat, I say. That's enough lap for me. A woman leans forward. Critics say the penalty punishes workers and passengers more than leadership. Response? I hear the pain, I say. I'll fund protections for the people who had no mic while power whispered. Leadership will not hide behind uniforms anymore. Do you plan to buy the airline now? Another asks. I plan to own what I already paid for, I answer. Dignity in writing. Do you forgive Mr. Walters? Forgiveness is not a discount, I say. It's a boundary. Mine is intact. Are you done? A reporter calls. Is this the end of your fight? This is the end of pretending I need permission. They shout new angles. How did you stay composed? What would you tell your younger self? What do you say to customers who lost money? I lift a hand, one at a time. A younger reporter, voice steady but bright, tries for heart. What did it feel like when you heard the number? Like the aisle was finally shorter. What do you mean? I mean, I stopped walking alone. A man in the back pushes. Some say you overplayed race to leverage a payout. I said racism out loud until money heard it, I answer. If that sounds like leverage, blame the fulcrum. Was this revenge? This was accounting. Laughter pops in a few corners. Discomfort shuffles after it. Janelle touches my elbow. One more, she murmurs. A woman near the front raises her hand. Do you feel safe now? No, I say. I feel responsible. For what? For the next person told their seat is a misunderstanding. Flashes fire. The lights make the moment feel fragile and hard at the same time. I think of the cold stares on the plane, the way silence weighed more than any hand. I taste that metal air again. I refuse to build a life out of swallowing it. Ms. Jordan, another voice breaks in. Did the verdict heal anything? Healing isn't the verdict, I say. It's the work the verdict funds. Will you sit first class again? Someone asks, almost like a dare. Yes. And if they ask if you belong? I'll say, I brought receipts. A ripple of stunned laughter. I let it pass. Two more, I say, and I nod toward a mic with a frayed foam cover. The reporter looks tired and sincere. What did you tell yourself the night they dragged you off? They ask. I said, remember everything, I answer. Because one day they'll pretend it didn't happen. And today? Today I remember less, I say. I don't need to prove it anymore. A shout from the back. Not a question, just my name thrown like confetti. I don't catch it. I catch Janelle's eyes instead. You were steady, she whispers. I practiced shaking where no one could see. Do you want to go upstairs? No. I look past the cameras to the doors beyond. I want the air. We step outside. The crowd follows until the security rope stops them. A breeze finds my face and cools the heat there. Cars hiss by like they're relieved. My phone buzzes again with numbers I don't need. Janelle nudges me. Do you want to answer more? I want to answer one. I turn back. You, I say, pointing to the first reporter who asked. He leans in, surprised. Ask it again. Do you feel vindicated? I let the memory of the aisle play once more. Not as a wound, but as a map I don't need anymore. I hear the laughter, the order to step off, the word procedure cracking like thin ice. I see my own hands refusing to shake now. I let a small smile find a place it can live. No, I say. I just finally boarded. Rain taps against the glass, slow and rhythmic. I sit by the window, coffee cooling between my hands. The world outside looks washed clean, but the air still tastes like aftermath. The door opens softly. You didn't lock it, Janelle says. I forgot, I answer. Or maybe I didn't want to. She walks in and drops a newspaper on my lap. The headline bleeds across the front page. Historic verdict against Airline. The photo beneath it shows me leaving the courthouse, chin up, eyes forward, a stranger who looks like she swallowed the storm and lived. You did it, she whispers. I shake my head. No, they taught me to do it. She laughs softly, tiredly. You sound like a professor after a war. I learned from the best, I say. Their cruelty was the tuition. She sits beside me, resting her hand on the arm of my chair. You still haven't celebrated. I don't know how to celebrate what shouldn't have happened. Maya, she says gently, you changed things. I made them look, I reply. That's not change. That's light hitting something that was already there. She looks at me for a long moment, then leans back. What now? I'll build something they can't buy, I say. Something they can't silence when the cameras leave. Like what? Truth, I say. Not the public kind, the kind that doesn't need applause to exist. She smiles faintly. That sounds lonely. It sounds honest. The room goes quiet except for the hum of the TV. I hadn't realized it was still on until I see my face on the screen, the replay of my old interview. The anchors, voice drones. When asked if she felt humanized by the verdict, Maya Jordan replied, then my own voice echoes back, you never saw me as human. I stare at it, hearing the tremor I hid that day. Janelle shifts, watching me instead of the screen. That line stuck with people, she says. It broke something open. It broke me open first. Do you regret saying it? No, I whisper. It was the only sentence I didn't have to rehearse. She reaches for the remote, hesitates. Want me to turn it off? I take it from her and click the button myself. The room swallows the noise instantly. The silence feels like breathing for the first time in weeks. I look at the dark screen, my reflection faint in the glass. They'll forget, I say. They always do. Then remind them. I nod slowly. That's the plan. She stands, squeezing my shoulder. You finally boarded, Maya. Don't get off too soon. I won't. When she leaves, I stay by the window. The rain slows to a drizzle. Somewhere inside the quiet, the world feels possible again, raw, heavy, but real. I touch the newspaper once more, my name bold above the fold, and whisper, now you will. I didn't think I'd ever walk through an airport without bracing. Even now, months later, I feel my shoulders lift before my breath does. The sound of rolling luggage, the calls for boarding, all of it presses against old bruises in my memory. Ms. Jordan, someone calls. You're clear for pre-boarding, I nod. My voice feels quiet but steady. Thank you. The agent smiles, professional, cautious. Maybe they know. Maybe they just sense history humming between us. I walk down the jet bridge slowly, the hum of the engines blending with the pulse in my chest. At the gate door, something catches my eye. A poster. My face, my words. Every seat should belong to dignity. My throat tightens. I didn't approve that slogan, but it feels like a message left for me anyway. A flight attendant stands by the door. Her uniform looks identical to the one that threw me out, but the woman inside it isn't. She looks young, nervous. Her voice trembles just slightly. Ms. Jordan, welcome aboard. For a second, I hear the echo of the other voice, the one that asked, are you sure this is your seat? I see that moment again, my boarding pass shaking in my hand, the smirk from 2A, the silence that followed. I breathe it out. Thank you, I say softly. She exhales in relief, as if I just released her too. We're honored to have you on this flight. I glance past her into the cabin. Just make sure everyone feels that way. She nods quickly. Yes, ma'am, absolutely. I walk down the aisle. Heads turn. Not with suspicion this time, but with recognition. I'm used to that look now. It's different, but it still weighs something. I find my seat 2C, the same row, the same light spilling across the window. As I settle in, I feel the air shift behind me. A whisper, small, curious, reverent. Mom, that's her. The voice belongs to a little black girl 2 rows back. I don't turn. I let her keep her mystery. Her mother hushes her gently, but the girl doesn't stop. That's the lady, right? The one who made them listen? The mother chuckles softly. Yes, baby. The one who made them listen. I stare out the window. eyes stinging. The runway stretches long and endless, a path I know too well. When the engines start, I close my eyes and let the vibration fill the silence I used to fear. The attendant passes again, checking seat belts. When she reaches me, she hesitates. "Miss Jordan, can I ask something?" I look up. "Go ahead," she swallows. What did it feel like? When they finally apologized, I think about it. About Greg's broken voice, the headlines, the verdict, the cameras, the noise. None of it felt like healing. It felt like accounting. It didn't feel like an apology, I say. It felt like acknowledgement. And that's rarer. She nods slowly, eyes bright. "Thank you for everything." "Don't thank me," I say. "Do better than me." "That's the point." She presses her lips together and walks on. The girl's voice floats forward again. "Mom, can I sit there one day?" Her mother answers softly. "You can sit anywhere you pay for, baby. And nobody can tell you different," I smile. "The kind that lives in my chest more than my face." I whisper, barely audible. I didn't make them listen. The words feel like air I've been holding for years. I made them hear. The plane lifts. The ground drops away. For the first time, the altitude feels like peace, not distance.